that's something people will criticize about. Bumblebee's getting his voice back. What's up, Ragin Nation? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching Bumblebee's Journey. This is a new web series where we talk about the Transformers Bumblebee spin-off film. This is episode number 1, and I think it's about time that we started this new web series. After all, we are getting the Transformers Cinematic Universe, and of course, the road to TF5 is actually only about Transformers Last Night. So this web series, just like the cinematic universe, is about to expand, and we're getting our new web series, and that is of course what I decided to call Bumblebee's Journey, because essentially this is the journey to the Bumblebee spin-off film. Now, there isn't a whole lot to talk about, but we have a big announcement, which I'm pretty sure all of you guys have read, and I'm just going to talk about that a little bit more. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is what do we know so far about this Bumblebee spin-off film. First of all, the main thing, or rather the first thing that we've ever known, is the release date. And it's coming out next year. And it is the start of the spin-off films. They take the second most loved character, I would suppose. I guess Optimus Prime would be number 1, but Bumblebee is the second. June 8th, 2018 is the release of the Bumblebee spin-off film. There's no title for it. I think the tentative title is just Transformers Bumblebee, which they're calling the Transformers 6. Because if you read right here, Transformers Cinematic Universe, this image from Hasbro suggests that the Bumblebee film is Transformers 6. It's not a continuation of the story, but according to Lorenzo de Bonaventura, it could be a prequel. Now, they're not 100% confirming that just yet, but they said that, he said that it's basically the start of a lot of ideas that could take place in the past. So he's suggesting that the Bumblebee spin-off film could be a prequel. Another thing that he mentioned in that same interview is that the Bumblebee spin-off film will be a smaller film. It won't be as large as the previous Transformers films, and what he means by a smaller film is that there are going to be less Transformers characters. It's going to be more focused on Bumblebee, so therefore there won't be as many Transformers characters. Definitely human characters for sure, but I'm pretty positive that Optimus Prime is not going to be in it. So that's what we know so far. Another thing that we do know is that it's not going to be rated R. Michael Bay actually suggested that they could make an R-rated Bumblebee film. That's not happening. It would be hilarious, but if there's any one director that would ever come up with that idea, it would be Michael Bay. But anyways, he's not involved in this film as a director at all. He's involved as a producer, but other than that, he's not a part of that production. Sure, he's a producer, but he's not the director. If he was a director, he'd basically have to jump right into filming right after the premiere of Transformers Last Night, so that ain't happening. But anyways, another thing that we know about the Bumblebee spin-off film is that Christina Hodgson is the writer. She is one of 13 writers in the Transformers Writers Room, or Transformers Cinematic Universe Writers Room, that was led by Oscar award-winning writer Akiva Goldsman. Now, I'm just going to break it down for you about these writers and what they're working on. So we have Art Markham, Matt Holloway, and Ken Nolan, who worked on Transformers Last Night. They're the writers for Transformers Last Night. We also have Andrew Barr and Grebo Ferrari as a writing duo for the animated Cybertron prequel, tentatively titled Transformers 1. Then we have Christina Hodgson, who is writing the Bumblebee spin-off. Now, there are a couple other writers that were in the writers' room. For example, Zach Penn, Jeff Pinkner, Lindsay Beer, Geneva Robertson-Dworet, and Stephen DeKnight. As for Robert Kirkman, he was only involved in the writer's room for one day. Immediately after, he had to go do a surgery, and then afterwards, he wasn't a part of it at all. So I'm going to omit Robert Kirkman's involvement, but based on this list of writers, this writer's room suggests that we could have like 6 more films after Transformers Bumblebee or Transformers 7. There could be like 5 or 6 more films that are coming up. But anyways, one of those films is, of course, Transformers Bumblebee. And that's actually really exciting because this is going to be the first Transformers film that is not directed by Michael Bay. We've had 5 Michael Bay directed Transformers live action films, and there's a bunch of fans that obviously don't want to see him direct another Transformers film, and there's a bunch of fans that do want to see him direct another Transformers film, but part of those fans are also thinking that, you know what, I'm also kind of curious what a Transformers live action film would be like if it weren't directed by Michael Bay. Well, now is your chance to see one, because it is actually happening. Michael Bay is obviously not directing Transformers Bumblebee. We now have a director, and that is, according to Deadline, they officially reported that Travis Knight will be the director for the Bumblebee spin-off film for Paramount. Now, this is a pretty big deal. Now, if you don't know who Travis Knight is, he directed one movie, and it's a stop-motion animation film that came out last year, and it's called Kubo and the Two Strings. And it's actually it's a pretty good film. It's very, like, it's fantasy, it's a big adventure, and it's a film that I wouldn't necessarily say would be a kids movie. I would say that, you know, kids love it, but also I think adults would like it because you know, it deals with a lot of mature elements, but at the same time, what he crafted is a very, very great film, actually. And it was all stop motion animation, and he's somebody who actually knows how to please audiences of all ages, because they took a film, or rather a story, that looks like it could be targeted totally for kids, but he was able to add things that older audiences would enjoy as well. So that is really awesome. So I think that this is a pretty good direction. Travis Knight hasn't directed any live action films in the past. This will be his first opportunity to direct one, and I think that is a great thing. But what I really, really like about the idea that Travis Knight is directing a film like this is that David Green is not directing. I originally thought that Dave Green, rather, he directed Earth to Echo and also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, and I was pretty sure that he was going to be one of the candidates for directing Transformers Bumblebee, because in a way Earth to Echo had kind of like Bumblebee elements in it, in the sense that it's a film that kids discovered this alien and then it helps them. So that felt kind of obvious. And to top things off, Dave Green was someone who directed another Michael Bay produced film, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. But when you look back at those two films, they're pretty shallow movies. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of depth to them. They're not great films. They're just films that are I guess, directed by a director who would have the appropriate, or rather the necessary skills to tell, or necessary vision to tell a Bumblebee film. Now, a Bumblebee film, or rather the Transformers films, honestly speaking, don't need to have a whole lot of depth to them. They don't really need to be that complex. As we've already seen, they generate a lot of money without being too complex. So I just went with the notion that these films really don't need to be that complex, which Earth to Echo and also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is. So that's why I believe that Dave Green would have ended up being the director for the Bumblebee spin-off film. But thankfully, he isn't. It looks like the producers, you know, Paramount Pictures, and also this list of writers in this writer's room, they decided that, you know what, we're going to go for something a little bit more complex. We're going to go for a story or a vision that's actually got more depth to it. And that is a great thing. And I think Travis Knight, being the director of a really, really outstanding stop motion animation film, I think that he's going to be able to tell a story that is going to be very, very different from what we've seen in the last 5 films. As a matter of fact, I'm really looking forward to this film. It's going to be a smaller film, but keep in mind that more isn't always good. I think in this case, less is going to be more. They're going to be more focused on the characters. There's going to be fewer characters to follow, and therefore the characters will not be lost in having little screen time. Characters are going to have more opportunities to shine. They will have more of their moments. And this is going to be a great opportunity to introduce new characters, because this is Bumblebee's story, and I'm pretty sure that his character also had a couple of buddies and nemesis or nemesi that should be involved in his story, not just like Autobots fighting Decepticons, but Bumblebee's story. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a great opportunity to really bring out new concepts and just ideas that we haven't seen before. And of course, with Bumblebee being a vehicle and with the story focused on his character, we could probably have a pretty badass transforming chase sequence. Better than the ones that we've already seen before. So I think that you guys should watch Kubo and the Two Strings and just have an idea about Travis Knight's style of storytelling. Like look at how he handles characters. Look at how he handles visuals and action, and look at how he handles a cohesive story, because that's what we really need in these films. We need a cohesive story, because in the last 4 films, I gotta tell you that cohesion or cohesiveness is not one of these films' strong points. Anyways, I'm just excited to see the vision of a new director in this franchise, because like I said before, you know, I love Michael Bay and what he's done for the franchise, but it's been 5 films already, and I just want to see what it would look like under another director's vision. It would be very, very interesting. It might even be completely black and white. But anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you guys have your hopes up? Are you guys even excited about this spin-off film? I know a lot of people have their negative thoughts about a Bumblebee spin-off film just because they're tired of the character. But I think that this will give the character a really great opportunity to prove to you guys that this is a character that can be, once again, a beloved character. And to do that, here's what I think is going to happen. With it possibly and potentially being a prequel, he's going to get his voice back. It's just going to be ridiculous if we're going to have an entire film where this character can't even speak. So that's something people will criticize about. Bumblebee's getting his voice back. I'm gonna call it right now. Anyways, that's all I gotta say in this episode. This has been episode 1 of Bumblebee's journey. Stay tuned for episode 2. After all, we are in March of 2017. This film is coming out in June of 2018. Pre-production is happening, but they better start casting soon, because if they want to get this ready for a summer release, they should be filming in the summer. All right, so while Transformers Last Night is being released, Transformers Bumblebee is going to be filming. And there you have it. That's all I got to say in this episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. A little bit of reading, but just bear with me. The Forge of Solus Prime is a symbol of office of the Master Artificer of the 13. Oddly, it is not actually a forge in the classic sense.